everyone, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Becky Mancuso. I am with ERPA, Director of Marketing, and today we're talking about all things automated testing. So we have a great packed agenda, as you can see, and I'll breeze through some quick intros about ERPA and the folks that you'll be hearing from today. Director of Marketing. We today are talking about testing automation, efficiency, and cost. You'll be hearing from Krishnan and Sneha Lattupully, both listed here with their email addresses, so do feel free to jot those down and reach out. And you can advance the slide there. So ERPA is a 20+ year managed services provider for PeopleSoft. We are an Oracle Partner Network partner. We are an Amazon Web Services partner. Accolades and awards over the years, which are noted here on this slide. Awards and you can. Our core focus on PeopleSoft, we have a track record of excellence in a few specific vertical sector, higher education. We boast some of the largest numbers of PeopleSoft 100+ employees with an average of 10+ years of experience. And we've ensured a continued investment in our Center of Excellence customer support team. We're focused on innovation, continuing to adopt and develop new technologies for PeopleSoft, as well as continuing to invest, as I said, in that Center of Excellence and an emerging technologies team. And we've got a culture of care, a commitment to our employees and our communities and to our customers, most of all. You can advance. So as I mentioned, today we're going to talk a little bit about testing automation, efficiency, and cost reduction. Throughout the course of the webinar, questions in your Q&A or your chat, we will take a look at them throughout the webinar. We will answer questions as we go along. We will a period at the end, so if we don't get to your question, please do hang on. We're also going to be dropping a few poll questions throughout, so those are coming. We'd love to see your answers for those. And lastly, we are going to be doing a drawing at the end of the webinar, a random drawing for an Amazon. So certainly hang around to hear your name called, and we'll do that at the end, right after the Q&A. So that's it. Sai, take it away.
Great. Thank you so much, Becky. Welcome, everyone. My name is Krishnan, Director of PMO with Solution Delivery. I've got a couple of decades of PeopleSoft experience, donning multiple roles, especially on the testing automation, efficiency, cost reduction has been the motive in many of the initiatives. So just to today, just going to get quick polls. So the first one is like, what's generally your role in the testing? So you guys can, just do a quick click on what the areas that are applicable to you. This functional or management, we'll just keep it for 10 seconds. So let's wait for that. Wonderful. So at this point, I'll just close the poll. We've got almost 65% of the audience involved in a functional testing initiatives, as well as close to 40% on the technical side. So that's great. Let's quickly move on to another question that I have is like how your organization approaches the testing today? Do you guys have a manual testing process, or you have a hybrid? Certain things are manual and auto, or you don't test at all? Hopefully that number is less. Interesting. Okay, that's fantastic. So what we have the numbers out. So it's almost 71% of folks are doing manual testing, and 22% are automated, and 26% are in the hybrid mode. I think you are in the perfect audience here today, because we're going to learn more about the automated testing. And before we head out, just one more question, and then we will get on to the topic here. Just want to see what pillars you guys are using: campus, HCM, financials. And probably it could be multiple as well. I think we have a radio button. Apologies for that. So which is the most you use? Okay, wonderful. I think we've got a good balance. I'll close the poll between HCM, campus, and financials. A little bit more on HCM, but all these applications are testing is needed across all the pillars and modules. Now, what is, like, as we talk to our customers and in our previous projects and experience, what are the primary challenges to its customers? So what we have found out is there is a demand for repetitive testing, because there is so many pumps that are getting applied. There are customizations that are going. So the testing is so repetitive. Every time you want to ensure that these things are not only the new functionalities, all these existing functionalities are working fine without breaking anything. And that also consumes a lot of staff time. So there is it is there. And when there is a resource constraint, the same resources are kind of spread thin, or then the quality also suffers because there is lack of standardization. The regression testing doesn't happen too much. You just have to only test customizing or applying pumps to. There is a quality impact that also happens. So if we take a deeper dive into the challenges, the testing is always repetitive, right? So we want to, whether it's an upgrading the or a new module implementation or the regulatory updates, require the repetitive testing, not only across multiple environment, across multiple duration and time period. Even for the internal audits and all, they want to follow the change management policies. What was tested? What was the process behind? So you need to even leave the proof of what has been tested in order to migrate the contents into production. And of course, the best thing is catch the bugs. The purpose of the testing is to catch the bugs or issues during the testing and have fewer production issue. I mean, that's a challenge if you have to spend big enormous hours of testing, and that also brings into the time and the constraints. You have the business users should always be spending time on the business process and running the business, and not spending too much time in repetitive testing. So there is no time to retest all the functionalities when a change is introduced, and so there's always a problem with that. And also when you're bringing in, the pumps and updates or process, there's always the performance related testing, the volume testing or the stress testings, those kind of things. Challenges.
Side real see your presentation.
Oops, my apologies. I think after the poll, it kind of the presentation got stopped. Can presentation?
Yes, now we're right. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So we were talking about the challenges. So just to quick recap, the repetitive testing requirements during the upgrades and pump, during the audit and compliance related stuff, when you're following change management policies, how well you're tested and documented your software and the application changes, and assuring the quality. I mean, catching the bugs during the testing. Then the biggest challenge is always the time and the personal constraints by the business and functional users. They have to do their day job, take care of all these testing, and sometimes even to bring in a new customization or new functionality, the organizations they think twice because of the testing pressures that they have. And then the system performance, the volume of data, whether it's testing a load performance or a stress performance, whether it's infrastructure related or a hardware related. So all these challenges are thrown at the customer. Now, we at ERPA, to help the customers deal with problems with these challenges, we have automated testing offering across various types of the testing. These includes whether it's performance testing, volume testing, stress testing, or the integrations across your third-party applications across. So we have ERPA has the automated testing offering across for each of these modules. And today the focus is going to be the PeopleSoft business functional testing, and we surely will have other webinars and sessions where we can talk about the performance, stress, and integration testing. But today's focus is going to be the PeopleSoft world, the functional testing on the PeopleSoft side. Now, what is automated testing? Let's understand an automated testing. Any repeatable process that can be automated with a minimal manual involvement, we would call it as automated testing. Now, where does it involve? So what are the things that can be repetitive? So let's see this. For similar to any of the software development life cycle, testing has its own life cycle. We got to ensure that we have the right requirements, we have the planning, we design the test cases, we have the scripts created, the environment is ready, the execution process and the defect reports and the reporting is also included. Now, we cut down this entire cycle by almost 70%. And how do we do that? That we have close to we have a solution with which we use for pre-built, pre-created automated scripts that kind of saves the time and through all the phases that have been involved in the testing lifecycle. Now, if we take a real-time comparison, an application upgrade almost takes 6 months of manual testing of various cycles. But with our pre-created scripts, we turn this into your environment based on your data, and this can be repeatedly tested across various cycles. And we have for all the 3 pillars, the campus, the financials, and the HR, all delivered process have been we have the scripts already pre-built. So and this is not only that, I mean, you can repeatedly use across your cycles, so thereby reducing the time of manually testing and the standardization process, all the challenges that we talked about. Now, what do we gain out of this? We are the first and foremost, increase in productivity. Your business and the testing resources can focus more on the side of the house and spend less time in testing. So we have these automated testing that they do the testing, provide the reports to review. So, and you can ensure the time for this entire project of the testing is drastically reduced. So the time reduction in the past is directly money saving, and then the quality. So fewer production issues will definitely cater to a smooth running of your business. Now let's see what this automated testing process brings in. So with our ERPA's solution, we call it ERPA's testing automation platform. We use Oracle PeopleSoft's PTF. We'll talk more about the PTF. And what it brings is it reduces the testing time drastically. It's structured and iterative, reduces manual effort, freeing up your business resource, and gives a very accurate without any quality issues. So that's what you see. And the best part is the clients already own it. I mean, you have PeopleSoft, then you own PTF. So no extra money on spending on the license, and it has got very minimal maintenance. And ERPA's testing automation platform, we have close to 200 pre-built scripts that I mentioned across the modules, and we tailor to client-specific scenarios, data, and customizations and bolt-on. I mean, that's again important. I mean, most of the PeopleSoft houses, we have our own specific customizations and bolt-on. So we take care of that, and our testing platform brings in the dashboards and intuitive user interface and end-to-end testing. And the best part is, once this is done, clients retain the scripts for future. Now let's understand. Let's get a more detailed understanding of PTF. And I would invite Sneha to talk about PTF.
Thanks, Sai. PTF, abbreviation for PeopleSoft Test Framework, delivered with your existing PeopleSoft license, automates various tasks within the PeopleSoft application, primarily functional testing. Automating functional testing enables testers to execute more tests with greater accuracy during a shorter time. PTF works by replicating the actions of a single user executing functional tests against the PeopleSoft browser-based application. Users can record manual test procedures and save them within the framework. Later, perhaps after an application upgrade or patch, those tests can be executed against the application to verify whether the application still behaves as expected. This method for capturing and executing tests is often called the record and playback approach to automation. If you look at the screenshot here, they depict the step-by-step procedure to record and playback on PTF. You open the application on the browser, hook the tool, start recording this transaction, save the transaction, and then play the recorded transaction from PTF with a single click. In the course of customizations and upgrades, changes are made to, among other elements, application menus, components, pages, fields, and records. Tests that were developed prior to these changes may fail when executed against a new application. Hence, PTF delivers two tools that help test developers to determine the effects of changes. The two reports that come with PTF are Test Maintenance Report and Test Coverage Report, with which PTF can automate the process of correlating metadata changes with existing tests. Next slide, Sai. Thank you. Installing the PTF client is straightforward. It is a two-tier model, and the file is available on PS Home with PTF definitions and terminologies. For example, a standalone transaction when recorded using PTF becomes a test. Some of the examples for a test are creating a requisition in SSEM, adding a person in HCM, or enrolling a student into a course in campus. Each of these tests have test assets that are PeopleTools managed objects, which enables PTF to validate the recorded objects. A test can be executed against n number of data sets, and each of these data sets is called a test case. Also, we can sequentially group more than one test to create an end-to-end business process, and that becomes your shell test. All the tests created using PTF can be executed by a single click. We will discuss more about this when we get to the demo. But also, most importantly, the ease of maintenance of scripts, migrating them, upgrading scripts becomes very easy as their people tools understood objects. Although PTF is a good tool in itself, it does need some enablers to fill voids. And that is where ERPA's testing automation platform, also known as TAP, helps. Test execution can be done directly from the PeopleSoft web application once the scripts are developed in PTF. Some of the enablers that we at ERPA have: test cycle report, bug manager, intuitive and interactive dashboards, amongst many others. TAP integrates PTF with enablers to provide our customers with a robust testing solution. We boast of a pre-built library of more than 2,200 scripts across 3 pillars: SCM, SSCM, and Campus, related to your environments and tested against your data, and then you get to keep your scripts. TAP as a solution is highly customizable depending on the customer's module, script repository, and many other reasons. And this eventually becomes our client's own library for futurists. So that means if you're using all 3 pillars, you get the 2,200 plus scripts for you to keep and maintain and manage going forward for your testing cycles. Next slide.
So thanks, Sneha. So that's how PTF works, and we're going to actually see script execution using PTF. Now, before that, let's get to see how this whole testing automation, the implementation occurs. So as once we are engaged, we get and understand the client's requirement, their application landscape, the functional scoping based on what modules are being used, what pillars are being used, what's their customizations and bolt-on that we need to bridge the gap between the scripts that we have and things that needs to be tweaked based on your environment. And also these scripts that are tailor-made to match and for your specific data, meaning your state ID, your business unit and your process and the nature of the business that you have. For that, what kind of testing that is needed, the scenarios and all those kind of things. Once those things are tweaked, we execute these tests and test in a unit testing environment of your database. So with that, it becomes a packaged. We are, as Sneha mentioned, it becomes your own testing library. This 2,200 scripts based on whatever your modules you're using, and plus your bolt-on and add-ons becomes your library forever. And then we also train the BSAs or technical teams involved in parallel as these things are being developed, so that they continue to execute and work. And as a functional work stream through the regression cycles for the system integration testing or the user acceptance testing. So for all those cycles, you already have these scripts, and across the environment, across the iterations, these can be executed and reviewed for the project before it gets into production. And not only this, you're going to be retaining your script library for future pump projects. Now that also reduces the time drastically. Now you have everything. So if you have if you're putting some kind of a pump project 6 months down the line, all you have to do is, if there is any delta customization that you have done, those are things that needs to be tweaked for you. Otherwise, you just execute these scripts once the pump is applied and you're done, boom. So that's the way the whole implementation works. Now let's see how these scripts are executed. And I'll hand over to Sneha for the demo.
Thanks, Sai. For today's session, we prepared these videos to demonstrate our PTF scripts seamlessly instead of clicking through the buttons and going through the whole hassle. So the first scenario here is for HCM, where we're trying to hire an employee and enroll them into benefits. So what we're going to do now is take a quick look at how the script looks and then go ahead and execute it to see how it feels. For now, if you look at the screen, you have a script that says hire an employee, and then you also have a script that says benefit enrollment. And with PTF, you are able to execute more than one script, also each script being executed as a different user. And that gives PTF the leverage over other automation tools where you're able to understand the PeopleSoft objects directly because it is delivered with PTF, with PeopleSoft licensing. And it also makes it easier and seamless to run the whole script, logging in and logging out as multiple users. Now we're going to see a quick demonstration of the hire an employee and benefit enrollment script. So if you look at the screen now, we have built a shell script, which is basically more than one script strung together in a systematic or in a sequential order. Firstly, we'll look at hire an employee script. When we open the script, you'll see that the script is being recorded. So individual scripts are recorded. A shell script is basically strung together. This script basically has all the information that it requires to run the script with the data set for the environment or for the instance. So these are the scripts that are from our pre-built library. So when we migrate these scripts to your environment, we basically just change the data set and make sure they run against your environment to a success. And you can create multiple test cases here. So test cases are nothing but running the same script against multiple sets of data. Like if you want to run the same script against different business units, you want to create an employee in different formats or different types, you can create test cases. So this is an example of a test case. For our example today, we are using a test case called passing values to incorporate variables that can be globally introduced in the shell test itself. So if a user wants to test the shell test, they don't have to go into the individual test to make changes. They can directly make the changes at the shell test level, which will end of the day be global to that shell test and not affect the individual script. So the shell test handles the script by itself, whereas the individual scripts are standalone transaction by themselves. Now what we're going to do is go back to the shell test, and we're going to execute the script so you can see how this script runs end to end. So we log in as a recruiter, and then we hire an employee, then we log in as the Ben admin and do the benefit enrollment. I'm going to start the execution now. So once you click on the run button, you have to have your hands removed from the keyboard or even your mouse, because this is all automated. It's 100% automated script with no manual intervention. It automatically pulls up the browser for you, enters the URL to your environment, logs you in as a respective person, and performs the transaction for you as expected. And by any chance, if the script does not respond the way it's supposed to, then the script will fail with a screenshot attached, so you know exactly why the error is occurring. For today's example, like I said, we are doing adding a person. So it's pretty straightforward. You enter all the information that is required and perform the transaction, and then you save it. Some interesting things that I want to share today are these scripts can be tested against different environments, different browsers. So today we're doing it over Chrome, but you can do it on Internet Explorer, and you can also do it on Firefox. And like I mentioned earlier, you can run the same script for different sets of data, right? You know, if you want to do one employee for a specific pay group, but if you want to test another script, and the same script for a different pay group or a different type of employee, then you can always use the same script, but with different sets of data and run it against the different values that you selected. Also interesting for you to observe that if there are any soft warnings on the screen and it's okay for those warnings to occur, PTF can handle that as well. Now, see, if you look at the screen now, we logged in as the first, logged in as the recruiter, hired the person. Now we logged out and logged back in as the Ben admin and performing a transaction for enrolling them in benefits. So this way, what happens is you don't really have to log in and log out of different employees' IDs or different user IDs manually. PTF takes care of everything for you, and it does the whole transaction end to end. It can be 50 scripts, it can be 100 scripts. On a Friday evening, let's say, for example, you just start the script and you can leave it on and it'll do the script for you. This is the log that comes after you execute the script. As you see, we have a pass flag on the script, and that's the HCM scenario for today. Moving on. The next scenario that we want to see is for SCCM. This is basically a more multi-user shell script that we curated, wherein we create a requisition, approve the requisition, source the PO, and then look at the workflow. So we're going to see how this is going to be executed with multiple users now. So let's execute the script and see how it works. So this is a script for a requisition. So we're logging in as a requester, creating a requisition, logging in as the approver, approving it, logging in as a PO sourcing admin, doing the auto sourcing process, and then we're logging in as the requester again to manage the requisition that we created. So now what we're going to do is go ahead and execute the script. While it's executing, another interesting thing to note here is, for example, here in the first script, we're trying to create a requisition. So every time I create a requisition, a new requisition ID is generated, correct? So what happens then is that PTF can save that requisition ID in a specific variable, a special variable, wherein every time you run the script, whatever new value of the requisition ID is captured, it will save it in a variable so that when the approver logs in, they know exactly which requisition to pick up. So it makes the whole process seamless and also without any errors. Log in as a requester, create a requisition, capture the requisition ID. Log in as the approver, go look for the exact requisition ID and try to approve that one. So it makes the process really seamless, like I mentioned. So for this example, we're just creating a special request here as a requisition. So I'm sure everybody from the Fin side already know what this transaction is going to do. So I'm not going to talk much through it, but give you more information of how PTF can handle things. For example, let's say we're trying to run a script with a process monitor page, right? On one of those things, what is going to happen is you will see that PTF can handle the button click for refresh, because today I might run a process and it might take me 10 clicks to reach the run status of success. But maybe if I run the test tomorrow, it might just take me 3 clicks. So instead of, going through the hassle of, automating that effort with coding, PTF has a single step execution where it will click on refresh button until a specific status is met. We're going to see that example also today. So there are a lot of advanced features with PTF that can handle a lot of these issues or a lot of these concerns that we usually have with testing. How long do I wait on a page? How long does it take to get through that process? Does PTF understand it? Yes, PTF does understand if it's waiting on a page for a specific status to be met or a specific value to be populated. All that is very automatically understood by PTF. And the best advantage here is the fact that PeopleSoft understands PTF and PTF understands PeopleSoft objects, because everything is through metadata, which again can be saved on your app designer and then can be retrieved for future purposes. Now we're going to just quickly get through the requisition process here. And yeah, I think it's working fine now. For a second, I thought something went wrong, but okay, we're good. We have submitted the requisition. We are capturing the requisition ID. Let's remember 0209 here. So we're logging in as the approver. So we're logging in as the approver. We do see the 209 there, so we're going in and approving it. So the requisition was approved by the approver. Now we're going to do the PO auto sourcing. So while the script is executing, I still want to mention that if you guys have any questions, please feel free to use the chat window, and we will take questions after the demo. So this is the PO auto sourcing script where I was just talking to you about the process monitor, right? So this is what happens. It will automatically click on the run button once once all the fields are entered. It will select the process name here, click OK, capture the instance ID. You see the process instance, right? 223316. It will capture that internally within the PTF script. Go to the process monitor, enter the instance number, and then click refresh. It will continue to click refresh till it reaches the success status or any run status that we have mentioned as part of the script. In our script, we have mentioned success as the run status criteria. So PTF understands that, and it will click refresh the number of times that it requires to get to the success status. So it's going to click on that. So this is just one example of the advanced features. We have scroll handling. We have data loader, which can help with mapping data from a PS query so that we can use it in the subsequent tests. That is another interesting feature that was made available starting 857. And PTF can be used for fluid pages as well. So that is an added advantage if you don't have to be on classic pages to use PTF. So now we logged in as the requester. We're just managing the requisition from here. It should be a pretty straightforward step. Making sure we've got the requisition correct. It says it's approved. So we're all set. And that's how we basically executed the FSCM script here. We also have a pass log here. And this is basically called the log, which gives you a step-by-step explanation as to what the script does. Moving on. So we do have another scenario for campus, which was a negative scenario, basically, where you expect it to fail and it works as expected. But considering the amount of time we have and we really want to take your questions today, so I'm sure you've understood the concept of how PTF works. So we want to spend time taking your questions in the question and answers section. So we will be moving ahead and we'll be skipping this part.
Yes. So yes. So thank you so much, Sneha, for showing that. And we do have, as Sneha mentioned, we see quite a few questions in our Q&A session. So we'll jump into the Q&A session, and if we have time, we can come back and show you this scenario. But this is a similar process that for the campus solution also we have created. I mean, negative scenario is nothing, but there are testing scenarios where you want the test to fail technically, not to complete the transactions, and that's the scenario we are talking about here in this case. So we'll move on to the Q&A session here. So I just wanted to grab a bunch of questions that are here. So there is a question which so Sneha, you can answer this one. So how is the password credential stored in the script to access the PeopleSoft interface? And is it encrypted to prevent accidental misuse?
Sure, thanks for the question, Sai. Yes, we can save the password credentials in execution options. This comes with PTF, wherein you create multiple roles. For example, when we looked at the FSCM scenario, we had a requester role. So we enter the user ID and password. Password is encrypted, so it automatically picks it from the execution options. And this way, there is no way that anybody can even accidentally misuse the passwords or the user ID information.
Yeah, and also to add that it is encrypted. So yes, so that is it's an encrypted one. So the next question we have this: will this also test mobile devices?
Yes, there is a feature for mobile devices after Fluid, and it can be tested against iPads and tablets, and also cell phones.
So thank you so much, Sneha. So there is a question about this is about the automated testing. So what are the types of tests that automated testing excels at, and what types of testing would still be better to do manually? Maybe I can take this. If you're looking at the automated testing, primarily automated testing, as we mentioned, any kind of testing that is a repetitive process pattern is a good candidate for automated testing. Now, PTF is a very good tool for end-to-end functional testing across all the PeopleSoft pillars, it including your customizations, bolt-ons, and everything that you got to do that repeatedly. But also ERPA provides automated testing solution for third-party integration, performance testing, and load testing, using a non-PTF, and when we are talking about the infrastructure-related testing, etc. So that's a little bit outside of the PeopleSoft, so where we use other tools to do that, to ensure the smooth automated testing. And if we have to anything which is non-transactional, if you want to take a look and feel how this homepage looks like, that where the human intervention, that part you still have to see manually. But all the fluid transactional testing is done. PTF is pretty good at it. The question is, how difficult is it to maintain automated test data between the environments? Sneha, you want to take it?
Sure. It is not difficult to maintain test data through PTF. It is an automation tool where scripts are recorded and people tools understood metadata, right? So it is not difficult. And also PTF scripts can be migrated across different environments using the app designer. And the scripts can also be migrated using projects, which is pretty straightforward. And anybody who knows how to use app designer should be able to do it. So it's easy to maintain them.
And just to add, it's just a utility where if the functional folks, the testing teams, they don't have to be super technical. I mean, the scripts are, once it is like we have, as I mentioned, when the ERPA comes in with our library of scripts, where we make it, I would call it like a term called Clientize. It becomes your script. So it is there. So the process is not changing. The functionals they are using in a QA environment, they can just click of a button, run that. They can mix and match if they want to group some scenarios together, as Sneha showed earlier. And you can always combine those things and execute, do an entire end-to-end testing scenario in a very short period of time. The next question I have is, how difficult is it either to locate errors in existing test or edit existing test if needed? Sneha, you want to take it?
Sorry, yeah, sure. It is not, it's not difficult. Basically, it is not that either basically locate the errors or fix the errors, because if you understand the PTF functionality, it should be pretty straightforward. A script can basically be executed using a single click, like we mentioned earlier today. And once you run the script, you should be able to see if the script runs into any errors. And once the error occurs then you get a screenshot every time an error occurs. So you know exactly at what step the error is occurring and what kind of an error that is. So it's easier for the user to go back in and fix the script or edit the error out.
Great, thanks. The next question we have, does a user have to log into PTF to view test results?
So with ERPA's tab, we let users view test results on the PF web application directly. Users do not have to log into PTF. You can basically view your test evidence reports directly on the application when you log in using your user ID and password. And it will show you how many times the script was run, how many if the script passed, failed, or if it ran into an error, what was the error with a screenshot attached to it. So you don't really have to understand or know PTF to just view it. If you're somebody who will be executing the script, creating the script, yes, then you will need to know how to work with PTF.
Okay. Thank you. There is a question, Sneha, on the browser. What is the best browser to use when scripting?
Sure. For PTF, recording the PTF script is usually on IE, Internet Explorer. It can be executed against Chrome, Firefox, and Internet Explorer. These are the three options that are given by PTF as of today.
Okay. There is a question, end-to-end test, voucher create to voucher post. I believe the question is whether can we do end-to-end testing, and as we also demonstrated earlier from a requisition example, yes, for voucher create to voucher post, we can do the end-to-end testing, as Sneha showed that we can do we can combine the scripts together as a shell and then execute them, and we can also do that for multiple data sets as well. Okay, there is a question, can it be migrated to different environment, dev to QA or prod? I mean, prod, I'm not sure if we are a good idea to do testing in prod, but dev to QA, yes. These scripts can be migrated, and also they can be executed in various environments. The answer is yes.
And Oracle does not recommend running any PTF scripts against prod.
So sorry, I'm just going through. So there is this question I'm going to read out, Sneha, for you. Can a pause option be inserted in the script to ensure transactions that typically take time to complete are completed before moving to the next task?
Absolutely. Yes, there is an option called for manual intervention, like a message box manual intervention, where you can pause the script, wait for the script to complete its step, and then you can click on the OK button to continue from where you've left it. Yes, so PTF can handle that.
Okay, so the question is, do you send out new tests as new functionalities is created and modified? So, so basically, your question is, so today we have as 2,200 scripts. Tomorrow it will be 23, 24. So we constantly maintain and create scripts based on the new functionalities that are being released in various pumps from PeopleSoft. So ERPA continuously develops these scripts and are ready, and we can always help you with creating latest and greatest for your version of the pump that you are in post your initial implementation of the testing automation. We surely would be like to do that. So as I read, can PTF run multiple tests? I'm not, go ahead, Sneha, you were saying something.
So is that the question? Can PTF
Yeah,
run
that is a
multiple tests?
yeah, that is a question. Can PT run multiple tests? So I'm not sure if it is talking about multiple scenarios or multiple scripts together. Yes, it can, and that is a question. Yeah, the answer is yes, it can.
It can be executed. It just needs to be in a very sequential order, so you know exactly which test to run first and which next.
Yeah. I think there was a question about the browser, which probably we addressed long time ago. People Tools 853, we could use only Internet Explorer. Is it
Yes,
still?
we can. So we have to record the script on Internet Explorer, but I think starting 854, they've given us an option to execute it against other browsers like Chrome and Firefox.
Okay, so that's one, and then the other question is: can automated testing tool handle dynamic data transfer between the scripts?
Absolutely, yes, it can, and that's one of the examples that we've seen today in FSCM. We ran a script for creating a requisition. We were able to save the requisition ID in a variable. And like, you know, every time I run that script, it's going to generate a new value. Today it's going to be 10, tomorrow it's going to be 11 if I run it again. So it captures the variable, it captures the value of the requisition ID in a variable and pass it on to the next script for approval or for even managing the requisition at a later step. So yes, PTF can handle dynamic variables, and the best way to develop scripts is to make sure it's as dynamic and as live as possible.
Thank you for that. The next question we have is: how difficult will it be to train other analysts to create and use this automated testing?
Training is not difficult, but it is mandatory for analysts to, you know, get themselves trained for using PTF. Like if they want to record the scripts and run them, they should be trained. And at ERPA, we provide training in different formats. We do a 2-day on-site or remote training without hands-on. We can also do a 5-day all-inclusive on-site or remote training. And also because PTF itself is very customer-centric, we can also customize training depending on how many users are going to attend and what kind of training they will want us to give them. So yes, it can be done.
And as you recollect, I mean, the best part of the training is when you're deploying that, and before during the development, we train that way. You can continue to the earlier question. If you have future projects and things, as you apply new pumps, you can yourself develop the new functionalities that you need scripts to be created. Of course, ERPA provides great service in that, and we'll be happy to help you with that as well. The next question is, what are some strategies that could be implemented to make transition to automated testing smoother?
Interesting question. ERPA specializes in custom building implementation strategies for clients, taking into consideration the kind of effort that goes into it, the resources, any kind of manual documentation they've had, or if they've done any other kind of testing prior to moving on to PTF. And ERPA's pre-built library that we've spoken a lot about or extensively today makes the transition to PTF way smoother and seamless. We bring the library with us, execute them against your test data in your environments, make sure they execute to a success and as you guys expected. And then we let you maintain or manage your library going forward. So it basically is a seamless transition. It does take some effort, but it is doable.
All right, thank you. Okay, so we've got. I think we covered most of the questions. I would got like maybe we'll take one more question before we wrap this session. The question here is, what is the advantage of change impact reports? How accurate is it? Is it time consuming?
So like we discussed, the two change impact reports that we have is the test coverage report and the test maintenance report. So these reports basically identify which object is included in the change project, which are referenced by which PTF script, right? And any object included in the change project, which is not referenced in the PTF test metadata, it appears in the report identified as a coverage gap, right? So they see that as a gap. And then once that is run through it, once we run the script or run the report again, once the image is applied or changes are made, then it gives you a comparison. Okay, this has changed from the previous time. So all the changes that have occurred can be listed for you guys, and then we just go in and fix those scripts first, because we know those scripts will error out if they're not fixed. And then we run all the test scripts against the new updated environment, and then basically make sure the accuracy does 100%. And like, I think the question also was asking if it was time consuming. No, it is not time consuming. It is pretty straightforward and can be done by anybody who can manage reports.
Okay. There are a few, thanks, Sneha. There are a few quick questions that we wanted to answer. One of them is, out of 2,200 scripts, how many of them are financial? Do we have a breakup? One thing I can say, we have covered all the core functionalities that PeopleSoft provides. And so, Sneha, do you have a breakup number, or we can get back? I mean, we have the name here, get back as well. There was another question before about the recording. All the registered participants will get the recording of this this webinar, and we will. You should be, if you have registered with, and you should be getting this recording of the webinar. If for whatever reason you're not able to completely watch this from the beginning. So at this point, we have still some questions coming up, but we are hitting the the top of the hour, and I really appreciate everybody joining this session to know about the automated testing. I would like to hand it over to Becky. Becky?
Yes, so thank you again, everyone, for joining and for the great questions. I did want to announce the winner of the Amazon gift card is, and I'm probably going to butcher this name, so I apologize. It is Dongmei Gao. We will be in touch with you. I will be in touch with you after the webinar to confirm information. And if you have any questions that we didn't get to, or you'd like to speak further about PeopleSoft automated testing, do reach out to us at info@erpagroup.com. Or of course, you can reply to any of the webinar confirmation emails you received, or Sai and Sneha offered their information at the beginning. You can contact them directly. But thanks for spending an hour with us today. I appreciate it, and we'll be following up both with the winner and with all registrants with the webinar link. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone.